Welcome to part 2 of the Notepad series. I'm your host Lisowi, and in the last episode we created the icons that we can see on the screen. And in today's video we'll create some more. So with that said, let's begin. In the last episode we created a button. So let's go ahead and find that button in the UI, command UI. Now I want to grab this button and copy paste it twice, so Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V. And initially, or not initially, we want to call this custom button, and the other one we want to call button add. So the reason we have 3 is because each of them will look differently, and it's just easier to have them duplicated than create all the dynamic change in one button. So we have the icon, the add, and the button. Okay, so let's open up the regular button and delete this icon over here. This will give you an error because you're removing something that you're using in the graph. So that's that there. So if we get rid of it, we won't have an error. If we compile, perfect. Now, another thing I want to change is the size of this size box. Now, if I change it here, just to show you, it will get overridden by the values in the event graph. So if I compile, boom, it's back. So if we're changing those values, make sure to come in here and change them in here. So 250 and height, I'll do 50. Now back in here, it should be updated. And let's go ahead and grab a text, throw that into the button, and make it variable so we can edit it. txt underscore text will do. It doesn't really matter what you put in here, this will get overridden anyways, so we can leave it as is. Now, for this to actually change, and let's compile that, I want to create a function called update button. And for this, I'm going to need a enumeration. So let's go back inside the content, Notepad, create another blueprint enumeration. Call it E underscore task details, or switch button maybe would work. So in here we have 2 options. We have the to-do list, and we have the completed. So we'll take this enumeration and essentially we will turn it into a text. So let me show you how we do that. So back inside the button here, we'll create a new variable called task list, works as well. E underscore task list. Do I not have task? I have task details and task state. Is that what I called it? I did call it task state. Task list. And then with that, we can make it instance editable. That's important. So we change it in the designer, grab it to a set, like that. And from here, we'll do a toString. And then from here, we'll do toText. And this gives us this enumeration in a text value. So we have this text option. We'll do a set text, last one at the bottom, connect it in, and that should do the job. So the last thing we need to do is to actually add this function on preconstruct. So grab it and then plug in your enumeration. So because this is instance editable, we can change it on the designer, and whatever we set in here will be set here and saved, and then the text will be changed. So I think that's all we got to do. Oh yeah. One more thing, I want to return that task list on the onClicked dispatcher. So click on your dispatcher, create another parameter variable in here, and we'll call it E underscore task details, or rather search for it, task list. Make sure it's task list, and then we'll do task list. Just refresh that because it says new parameter. Update now, and just return that here. And compile and save. Next, let's go ahead and modify the add button as well. So in here, I do not want this image to be up front in here. So we'll also get rid of it here, and I want to change the size as well. So we'll keep it at 250 and 50 again. And back in the designer, I want to have a plus icon here and then some text. So to do that, I'll grab a horizontal box, show it in here inside the button. We'll fill it with padding 0. And for the image, I'll grab a size box and we'll make it overridden 40 by 40. And we'll center align it. And I want the image. So we need an image. Show it in here. And this image, do I need to call it something? I don't need to call it, and it doesn't need to be variable because it'll just say plus. So we'll have a plus in here. Nope, I did not add, maybe. Yeah, it's called add. So we have the add icon, and then we want to grab a text. So throw that into your horizontal box again. We can make this center aligned like so, and give it some padding as well. Oops, 10 will do, but 10 and 0. So 10 is on the horizontal and then 0 is on the vertical. For the name, we'll do new task. This doesn't have to change. So add new task. And that's all we gotta do. Everything else here should stay the same. So we'll leave it at that, compile and save that. Next, we'll create one more button, and this is a checkbox. Now, Unreal Engine already comes with a checkbox, but we can create our own to have a little bit more control. So copy paste your icon and just call it WBP underscore custom checkbox. Open that up. Now I won't change the designer because I'm pretty happy with how it is. You can if you want. So we'll go to the event graph. Now in here on the set size on icon, we want to select the icon stuff, right click, collapse to function, and rename it to set text or set checkbox state. There we go. And double click that. Now in here, to actually change this to an icon of our choice, we need an enumeration. Now lucky for us, because we're using a checkbox, Unreal Engine already comes with this enumeration. So create a new variable, call it your checkbox state, and just simply search for e underscore checkbox state. Now make sure this is also instance editable and drag it out to a set. And we'll connect it like so. And then in here, we can do a switch. So this icon that exists here, icon, we can do a set. So if it's unchecked, we set it to something. Whoops. If it's checked, we set it to something. And lastly, if it's undetermined. So if it's unchecked, we'll do checklist. What was it called? Checklist small. If it's checked, we'll do complete. And if it's undetermined, I'll do empty. So just to show you my icons, that's my empty icon, that's my unchecked, and that's my checked, using those three. So checklist small, then just all of them connect here. It doesn't really matter because whatever this is set, it reads it and then it sets it. So that's all good. Then in here, we just grab that and connect it. Lastly, we want to modify this event dispatcher. So let's grab that. And I'll delete the comment. In here, we'll have this somewhere at the end, but yeah, I want this checkbox state to a switch again. And depending on what we'll do, we'll set that. So set checkbox state, we'll call it here again. So if it's not complete, so unchecked, we'll call it. And if it's checked, we'll call it as well. If it's undetermined, I will do nothing. So not complete, it is set to checked. And if it is checked, we'll set it to unchecked. Perfect. And then we just want to call the event dispatchers. So I want one more, and we'll call it on not complete. Call it here. And then this one will call on complete. And there we go. And I think that's all. comment call event dispatcher. And just to be a little more specific, when it's complete equals incomplete and vice versa. Okay, so compile and save. Next, let's go ahead and edit the task display. So open that, and in here we want to add in a canvas panel followed by a size box. Drag that in. Again, click on anchors, Control and Shift, any one of these in the center for me. Size to content with override, I'll do like 600, and then height override, I'll do something like 800. So play around with this, see what you like. For the size box name, I don't think it needs to be variable, but I'll just call it size box. Then I want to, let's see, grab a border, throw that inside the size box. You can have this for like a tint, so we'll make it black at like 0.2. Oops, 0.2, 0.3, and okay. Then inside this, we'll have a vertical box. Again, I just want to clear all the paddings, so just make sure no padding yet. Perfect. So vertical box, and inside this vertical box, I want a horizontal box. Add that in. And in here, we'll have the to-do list. So we'll add in our button. Let's add in a text, first of all. Text. This one here. We can center align it. We have to fill it, okay. And what will I call it? I'll keep it on the left actually. We'll call it txt underscore task list. Make it variable. And I think some padding would be nice. So I'll do like 10.5 maybe. And just also change this to do list. And on the opposite side, we'll have a button to change that. So button, custom button, which one was it? This one here. We'll drag it into the horizontal box. And task list will say not complete. So we're in the to-do list. And if it's completed, we'll have it on the complete list. Now, this is not complete together because that's how the enumeration actually is set. So if you want to change that, go back to your Notepad, task list, and just make sure to give this a space. Now, if you come back and compile, this should get updated. So that's the first thing. I also want to have a divide at the bottom. So we'll add a border to our vertical box and just move this down like a nice little divide. And under that, I'll have the number of tasks and add a new task. So for that, I'll add a widget switcher first of all, so we can switch between the completed and the not complete. Add that into the vertical box. I'll call it ws underscore task list. And inside, I'll add a vertical box. I'll add then a overlay. This will be for the not complete. And you can have the button then. Add the overlay. I'll have it in the center. And what else? I want a text as well, and this will be in the middle as well, and we'll have it say 0 out of 0. We'll give it a padding of 10.5 as well, and make it variable, call it txt underscore tasks. And then what? And lastly, just a scroll box so we can actually add all of those tasks in. In the overlay, no, in the vertical box. So this also should be named. So I'll call it S or scroll box underscore not complete and make it variable. And that's our new tasks added, or not complete tasks. Now, if you want to visualize this, you can just search for your custom task. Oh, we haven't added that just yet. So yeah, we'll leave it at that for now. But then we want to create another task list, which is just the completed one. So this will be very simple. We'll have a vertical box and the widget switcher. Let's name them. A vertical box, vbox underscore not complete. And this one I'll just call vbox complete. All right. And in here we'll have a scroll box. And again, just make sure that this is variable and you call it complete or completed or something. And that's all we got to do for now. Let's compile and save it. In the event graph, let's get rid of event tick and event preconstruct. We won't need them. On event construct, we want to grab a sequence node. So a shortcode is S left mouse. And from here, we can right click and get owning player pawn. So this gets us the player. Now from here, we can do a get component by class, which will get a component of our choice. So in our case, this is the blueprint component notepad. And let's do an is valid check just to make sure it's a valid component and that we actually have it. So from here, if that's the case, we'll promote it to a variable notepad component. Now from here, this notepad component knows about the notepad widget. So if you remember, let me just show you in the notepad itself, we had this event dispatcher that we call on event destruct. So whenever this is removed from the screen. So what we can do here is we can get that notepad widget and we can bind to on notepad closed. So whenever we close it, this widget here will also get closed, which is amazing. So custom event, and we'll do on notepad closed. And then we can also unbind, ubind, unbind all events. We can do all events. And then we'll just remove from parent. So a very easy way to remove your widget when something else gets removed in the hierarchy. And we can comment this, set reference to notepad component and bind to on closed. All right. So next on 1, I want to do a for each loop. Oops, not that one. We'll do a for each loop. Just this one here. In here, basically, for every single task we have, I want to create a task entry. So for that, we will actually have to create a task entry. So let's go ahead and do that. So right click, Visual Interface, Widget Blueprint, WBP underscore task entry. Now in here, there are some parameters that I want. So before we do any of the design, let's just go into the graph and create some variables. So I want 3 variables. I want 4 variables. So we'll have the index. And this will be integer. We'll have the task details. So this will be just the structure. So f underscore task details. We'll have, let's see, I want the task display. So the previous widget in the hierarchy. So widget blueprint, task display. And I also want a reference to the notepad component. Notepad component. So BPC notepad. There we go. Okay. And each of these I want to be instance editable. So let's make sure they're exposed. And oh yeah, not only that, but they need to be exposed on spawn as well, because we want those parameters to show up in the creation of the widget. So that should do it. Anything else I want to do? I think that's okay. Compile and save. I also want to create two event dispatchers. We'll have the uncompleted, and we'll have on not complete. And again, just to stay consistent, let me delete that last letter, compile and save. So back in the task display now, we can add in that array. So this array will come from our Notepad component, get task details or get tasks, just plug it in. Now, if you compile, everything is fine. So let's see. From here, we create the widget task entry. There we go. And now we have all those parameters. So array index goes there. The task details go there. Task display is just self. And the Notepad component is this guy here. Perfect. So out from here, we want to grab a scroll box. So grab both of them and not complete. And we'll do add child from any of them, doesn't matter. Break the connection. And from the target, do a select. And this selection will determine which box they should go into. So to do that, what we can do is we can break this open. And depending on what task state they currently are, we'll have that there. So if the task is empty, we'll set not complete. If it's not complete, it'll also be not complete. And if it's completed, it'll be complete. Yep, that's fine. And then we'll connect that there. And what else? Content is this widget, by the way. Add that in there. I also want to bind to those event dispatchers, so we'll bind to onComplete. And we'll also bind on not complete. And for those, I'll just create a event that we'll make in a second. So this, by the way, you can have multiple options to do it. You can also do a custom event and just write your logic here. But if you do that, you can create a separate event just to show you. Custom event, call it 2. Connect it. I can search for it then and have the logic run somewhere else. Just a little bit cleaner. So, okay, that should be good for now. And then on completed, I want to update the tasks. So we'll get the completed tasks. We'll get the tasks as well. And I want to set the total tasks. So let's create a function for that. Set total tasks. Inside here, we want two variables, and both of them will be integer. We'll have the completed tasks. So completed tasks, and then we'll have the total tasks as well. So then I want to grab the text tasks, and we'll do a set text, last one at the bottom. And I want to format this. So format text, connect that there. Now in here, we'll have a curly brackets forward, do completed, curly brackets close. We'll do a slash, curly brackets again, total, close curly brackets. And this gives us those two inputs. Now you don't have to say completed or total. You could do like X and Y. I'm just doing it so it's obvious what's happening here. And we can close this. So now we can set total tasks. Completed goes there, total goes there. And this whole function should be finished. Okay, now we also got to make those two events. So for this, I actually want to go back into the task entry. And in here on the event dispatchers, I want to return self. So create a new parameter, search for WBP task entry, and just type in task entry. So it'll just return itself, and the same for on not complete. That's already filled, and task entry. And while we're at this, we can also add one more event dispatcher called on deleted. And this will only return a index. So whoops, create a new parameter, integer index, and compile and save that. Then back in here, I can actually create an event and then just plug it in. So let me disconnect those. Create, or yeah, we'll do create event, custom event. There we go. And this is on complete. And then this will be as well, just an event on not complete. Plug that in, plug that in. And now it should give me no errors. Compile and save. Perfect. So we can bring these over here. And this should be responsible for removing the widget and then adding it to the correct scroll box. So to remove from parent. And then we'll do which one we want? Scroll box complete. Add child. This is the content. And then in here we'll have the other one. So we'll do not complete. Add child. And let's just comment this on complete slash not complete bind events. And just like that, we can also comment this. Looks okay. This is what? Create create tasks. Yes. Create task widget for each task. And there we go. Let's compile and save. So while looking around, I noticed I made a mistake. So in the designer, this empty button here has a list of empty, not complete, complete. This should be to-do list or complete. So I'll show you how to change that. I also went ahead and just named the buttons button switch list and then button add task. So this button here, we can open it right there. And when we do, in the event graph, go to the event graph here, click on task list and switch this to E_task details. So compile and save that. This will give you an error. So open up this function here, click on this and just switch this as well. So task details, compile and save. So now if we go back, compile and save again, I guess. If we go back here, this should be correct now. To-do list completed. So yeah, sorry guys for that. So go ahead and click on your button add task. Unclicked. In here then we can do a create widget. And this will be again our task entry. And we can give the index, task details, etc., etc. So before we do any of this, I want to grab the Notepad component, get the completed tasks, get the total tasks, and we want to increment the total tasks by 1 because we just added a new task. So this will go here, and a increment automatically gets it and sets it. So we don't have to do a set. Next, I want to set the total tasks. So grab this function. Total goes to total, completed goes to completed. And after that, I want to again grab this and do add. I want to do get tasks first, then do an add. And this will just add a new task to our list. I want to get a copy of this index, set it as the details here. Index is index, task display is self. And Notepad component is Notepad component here. Perfect. And then at the very end, we can pretty much steal that. So this goes in there. Child is this content here. Target will be, let's see, and not complete. So let's grab that, plug it in, and that should be good to go. So let's comment that as well. Create a new task and add it to the list. And again, just color that and okay. So one more thing we can do. If we go on the switch list, do unclicked. So now this should be proper. We can do a switch. Oops, that's wrong. What is this? Oh, that's a byte. That's not right. So one more thing I think I gotta fix. So go to the to-do list. And on the event dispatcher, when we return, yep, this should be different. So this is okay, but the event dispatcher itself is not. So e_task details. Refresh, and if I compile, should be okay. Compile again, and then back in here, compile that. And what's the problem? Must have a connection. Does self not have a connection? Let's see. What's the problem? Oh, yeah, my bad. That's there. So now if I compile, there we go. Switch. So on the to-do list, we can grab this widget switcher and do a set active widget index. And then we can do the same here as well. So let's see. To-do list is 0, and then this one will be 1. So this is the completed. We can also set the text. So what was the text name? Task list, I called it. So that's the correct one. Set text. And then from here, we'll do to-do list, to-do list, and here we'll just say completed. Completed list even. And then lastly, we get the button switch. Button switch, where did you go? Switch list. And we'll do update button. Completed, and then to-do list. So it reverses. And we'll comment this button switch from to-do list to completed list and bake. Okay. So that should give us a good foundation for the task system. So we can currently add the tasks. We can increment them, but we don't have a way of doing it just yet because the task entry doesn't exist. What's this here? Enum to string. I just got to refresh all of this. Compile and save, and now we should be okay. Yeah, so that little mistake caused a few errors all over the place. Apologies, guys. I think that should be okay then. Play. Yeah. So in the next episode, we'll go ahead and actually create the task entry, so you'll be able to fully see what actually is happening. So right now, if I add new task, it just increments and nothing really else happens. So if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, and as always, happy developing.